Hi everyone, John Cottrell here of MBODY Yoga. Welcome. This is Soft Flow. This is a gentle yoga practice, a 60-minute gentle yoga practice. So welcome. So glad that you're here. You can join me and we'll do some yoga together. So of course we need some props. When we do soft flow, I like to use props really as a way to help support our bodies as we move through our practice together. And we usually use the same types of things. So let me just point them out. Just a blanket, something soft that you can sit on and kneel on, okay? So a folded blanket, it could also be a nice fluffy towel that you folded up. Also a couple of yoga blocks or something that's firm and stackable. That could be some hardbound books as well. Those are probably the main things that we'll be using, but I always like to say, grab a big pillow. This is a yoga bolster, just to have this handy. You might sit on it, you might use it to elevate your legs in Shavasana, for example. So just have a pillow nearby. All right, so that's our props for today. And I invite you to take a comfortable seat on your mat. And of course, you might be sitting comfortably on your soft blanket or folded towel. I'm sitting in half lotus, which is a comfortable sitting position for me. So you can just cross your legs. It'd be an easy pose, just kind of a basic cross at the ankle sensation right there. Or you can also just sit with your legs extended. Feel free to sit in a chair or up against a wall if you like, if you need a little extra support for the beginning of your practice. And as we get settled in, start taking some deep breaths. I'll talk about what we're going to be doing today. So as you come to stillness, you might start with a few deep breaths in and out. Nice full inhale through your nose, and you might even exhale through your nose or even out through your mouth if you'd like. Do that a couple of times just to get reacquainted with your breath. And then just settle into slow, steady breathing. And perhaps breathe in a way where you can feel your breath. Experience how your body is responding to your breath with each inhale and with each exhale. And also to bring a little bit more awareness to your breathing, listen to the sound of your breath. So that might mean turning up the volume of your breath so you can hear it. Good. Just settle in, finding stillness. Our practice today is simply focusing on some basic hip openers. There's plenty in the yoga practice. And we'll focus on a few, and I've even kind of spruced up a few of them as well. Just ways to open up tight hips, because our hips tend to get tight. Slow, steady breaths. Mindful breathing. You can certainly do this with your eyes opened. You might just take a soft gaze forward or downward, or even close your eyes, taking your journey inside. Really paying attention to what's happening on the inside of you. A wonderful opportunity to do a mental scan, kind of check in with how you're feeling at this moment, what you might be needing in this moment, and perhaps how your practice will assist you. As you inhale, you just want to feel the breath rising upward to fill up your lungs. Very expansive, just really nice opening here in the upper body. And then when you exhale, draw your navel inward toward your spine. Just an awareness of your center body. Again, as you inhale, again, feeling the breath rising upward. Also feel yourself sit up a little taller. Nice lengthened spine, filling up your lungs. And as you exhale, draw navel in towards spine. And just do that a few more times. Mindful and intentional breathing. And just a reminder that breath is the foundation of our practice. Whether you're just sitting in meditation as we are now, or when we're moving through our flow. Go ahead and just take 2 more breaths, and we'll add a very simple movement. Good. When you're ready, inhale and extend your arms overhead, just reaching out and all the way up, reaching into the sky. Nice stretch. And exhale, extend your arms out across the room, and even imagine you're going to touch the walls on either side of you and let them float back down by your side. Let's do that again. Inhale, extend your arms out, reaching, then all the way up. Nice stretch, good lengthening. Then exhale, continue to draw navel inward towards your spine to provide support as your arms float back down by your side. Now go ahead and continue on your own, just breathing at your own pace and moving at your own pace. You don't necessarily need to follow me in what I'm doing or how fast or slow that I'm moving. Paying attention to what's going on inside of you, that means you can continue to keep your eyes closed and just follow your own rhythm, your own breath. And as you're moving, just notice, feel what's happening with the body in motion. The energy through the extended arms, through your fingertips as you're reaching across the room. Movement of your shoulders. Lots of activity in the shoulders with the arms moving up and down. And when the arms raise up into the air, feel the lengthening through the sides of your body. Go ahead and finish the breath that you're on and take 2 more breaths. I like to call this our moving meditation. Just very simple. Breath giving us the power to move. And then when you're complete, just let your arms come down, relax in your lap. Take some deep cleansing breaths, feeling the shoulders relax. Still and seated, let's take a mild back bend. You're going to take your hands behind you, maybe just propped up onto your fingertips. So both hands behind you here. You even feel the shoulders gently pull back, just to really help open up through the front body and the chest area. So the shoulders, I like to say, are behind your heart here. Excuse me. And then just tip your chin up slightly, just a little bit, not too much. And while we're here, we're just going to take a breath, just breathe in. And then exhale. And then we'll add more action to this pose. Now as you inhale, press into the ground with your fingertips. Feel the energy shoot up through the arms, right up to the shoulders. Breath rising to fill up your lungs. Nice expansive feeling, that stretch feeling across your chest from shoulder to shoulder. When you exhale, you're going to draw navel inward toward your spine, just keeping that action and awareness of your center body. Again, when you inhale, just press into the ground with the fingertips. Fill up your lungs. Very expansive. Feel this energy. When you exhale, draw belly in, and as you're able, even squeeze shoulder blades together behind you. And what we're doing with that action is providing support in the upper back region and also in the lower belly region. So upper back, lower belly. Go ahead and just take 2 more breaths. And after that second breath, just lower your chin a little bit so you're looking directly forward. And then walk your hands towards yourself so you're sitting up nice and tall. And you can, again, just rest your arms in your lap. Everything comes back to baseline or that nice relaxed state. Take a couple of breaths here. Since that was our mild back bend, we'll take a forward fold. If your legs happen to be crossed, let's go ahead and uncross them. And we're going to come to Cobbler's pose or bound angle. And so you'll just position your feet so the soles of the feet are together here. You create some bent knees here. This is actually our first hip opener, a very basic and common hip opener. Bound angle, pose, or sometimes called Cobbler's pose. Now the legs or knees here may not reach the ground, especially if you're sitting up on a blanket or pillow. So you might want to place something underneath, like a book or a block or even a smaller pillow there. So your legs just rest open. Now we're going to sit up nice and tall here, so you might just hold on to your ankles or shins and inhale just to feel the lengthening of the spine grow nice and tall. Exhale, draw belly in. Don't move just yet, just want to activate the body. Then we'll start our motion. Very simply, we're going to inhale, feel breath rising, fill up your lungs. Exhale, draw belly in, hinging at the hips, leading with your heart and chin, just coming forward a tiny bit, just a little bit, creating a new angle in the upper body. We'll inhale, continue lengthening through the spine at this new angle. Exhale, draw belly in. It supports the body in motion as you hinge forward a tiny bit more. And that's how we want to move. We want to take small incremental movements rather than big motions into any posture. So really taking your time here and just finding a place where you can just hold this posture. You might hold here with an extended spine. If you tend to or want to go down a little lower, it's certainly okay to let the back round, let it curve a little bit, even lower your chin. Now you might have changed your hand position. They might still be holding onto your shins or ankles, but maybe you can reach your feet. Or if you need a little extra support, maybe you just need your hands out in front of you, just to hold you up. Checking in with the sensation in the inner legs, inner thighs. This very common and I would say popular hip opener. Nice hip release here. Go ahead and take 3 more breaths. And after that 5th breath, if you're holding on to your feet here, you might want to place your hands on your mat and kind of push into the ground to help assist your own lifting and re-extending of the spine and upper body until you're nice and tall in your seat right here. And just hold for a moment. Good. Let's go ahead and remove our props out of the way here and just carefully make your way to your hands and knees. This is where you might want to use your blanket or towel as some support and cushioning underneath your hands and knees while you created this tabletop position right here. And then moving into cat-cow pose. It really starts with cow, which is an inhale. You're going to inhale and look up or look forward, tipping the pelvis back, creating a little back bend sensation. This is cow. Then exhale, round your spine, tuck your tailbone under, feel your belly button pull up towards your spine, chin tucks in towards your chest. That's cat. Then inhale to reverse it, feel the pelvis tip back. Your belly might kind of drop or lower its way towards the ground at U shape or bowl shape in the back, creating the back bend, heart opens. Exhale, round it all out. This too can be moved at your own pace. So take your time with this. Again, you don't have to necessarily follow my movement or breath flow, just yours. You might even find that you want to hold one of these positions for a little bit longer. For example, I'm just holding cow pose for a few seconds here, just to engage and feel that back bend. And then you might exhale and round it into cat pose. You might even hold that and feel that broadening of the back. It's a nice stretch for the muscles in the back there too when you round it out like this. Let's go ahead and just take 3 more breaths. This simple cat-cow flow. A wonderful undulation of the spine. Some release in the hips because of the pelvic rocking feeling. When you're complete after that 3rd breath, just come back to stillness in this tabletop position. Keep your head and neck neutral, so you might be looking directly down. Let's make our transition. If you're using a pad here, like your blanket or towel, let's crawl off the blanket, set it to the side, and then come back to hands and knees, getting prepared for downward facing dog. So here, if your hands are right underneath your shoulders, go ahead and step your hands forward a bit here. So your hands are out from underneath your shoulders, and spread out your fingers pretty wide. Good stretch between each finger, and then lean into the mat, pressing palms flat into the ground to stretch open the palms. This too should also energize the arms, so feel the strength in your arms, because we certainly need this for downward facing dog. Go ahead and tuck your toes. Before we lift the knees, let's take another cow and cat. You're going to inhale to cow. Look up, arch your back, exhale, round the spine. Chin to chest, hold for a quick second. Lifting knees off the floor now, and then hips up into the air. This should guide you right into downward facing dog. The lifting of the hips should extend the spine, lengthen through the torso. And to help with that, just keep a good bend in the knees and allow the hips to continue to lift up into the air while your hands press firmly into the ground. Take one more breath here in this inverted posture. Then look straight down and start walking forward with the feet until you're maybe at the center of your mat. Feet are flat on the ground underneath you. And then go ahead and just slide your hands or fingertips toward your toes. You'll be in forward fold. Weight shift into your heels. Bend your knees. Feel like you're going to sit down. Look forward. We're going to take the arms out to the side. We're going to come to standing right away. Just drive the heels into the floor, straightening the legs, lifting up to face forward, and then extend your arms all the way up into the air, drawing a straight line in the body. And then just bring your arms down by your side. All right, just holding here for a moment in mountain pose. And then you can add a little movement here if you like. Just kind of shake out the shoulders. There you go. A little circle of the shoulders. Even through the elbows, hands, wrists, and fingers. Some deep breaths. That's it. Really just kind of getting into the body, because, you know, we were starting in seated. Now we have a kind of an open, spacious body while standing. Okay, let's go through our half salute once again. So return to mountain pose, holding in stillness for a moment. And then inhale, extend your arms all the way up into the air, lengthening through the sides of your body. Exhale, spread your wings or your arms come out to the side, bend your knees, and imagine you're sitting back and down into an imaginary chair that's behind you. Feel your belly lower, you're folding, the hands will naturally drop down, head will get heavy and reach toward your toes. There's your forward fold. You're going to inhale and slide your hands up to the shins or knees to extend your spine. We're going to hold here on the exhale. This is half forwards fold. So you've created a flat back like you're at a table. Hold for a couple breaths. And then shifting your weight back into your heels a bit. Bend your knees again like you're sitting down into a lower chair. Look up or forward. Spread your wings. Keep driving the heels into the floor, straightening your legs. Nice, tall, long body, reaching into the air. There's our stretch. Nice. And exhale, bring your arms back down by your side. Returning to mountain pose. And if you like another kind of release, you can shake all that out if you'd like. Very nice. All right, let's do our variation of Warrior One. Starting in mountain pose. We also like to put a little bend in the knees, keep that nice softness in the knees. Then start shifting weight into your right foot, really plug that foot into the ground. The activation of that right leg should occur right away. Stand up tall. You will inhale to get that lengthened spine, breath rising to fill up your lungs, exhale to engage core. Okay? Then a little bit of a lean forward, just a little bit, and then start tapping this left foot back. Doesn't have to go back far until it really just can't go anymore. You'll be on your toes, heel lifted right there. You're going to pivot or turn that left heel to the ground and just sit. Kind of sit back and into the center, okay, of this posture so you feel really plugged in to both feet, balanced. You're going to inhale and take both arms up into the air. Reach. Then exhale, bend elbows to about 90 degrees. So we're facing forward for this. Just holding here for a moment. Some deep breaths. Not very much space between the feet for this lunge in our variation of Warrior One. Here we're just going to inhale and take the arms straight up into the air. When you exhale, bring your arms down, and here actually place your hands on your hips. We're going to shift the weight forward until we've got that pressure and weight into this front foot. So it's easy for you to kind of re-lift that back heel and then just step forward. Both feet together, standing tall, straight legs. Let's once again reach the arms all the way up into the air. We call it extended mountain pose. And then exhale, arms return to your side. All right, a nice flow there. Modified warrior one position. Let's do the other side. We start with our soft knees. Start shifting weight into your left foot, plugged in strongly. Stay here as you inhale. Feel tall and lengthened through the spine. Exhale, engage your core. This should help support the body. You're going to lean forward just a tiny bit. This should allow you to start tapping the right foot back until it just naturally stops. Again, heel is lifted, just curled toes there, flexed foot. Pivot or turn right heel. Sit back into that foot, grounded, centered here. Facing forward, we'll inhale, take both arms up into the air, straight as can be. Exhale, bend elbows to about 90 degrees. Kind of a goalpost shape, and sometimes we might call it cactus pose. You have cactus arms. Just facing forward. With the bent elbows, it should give you plenty of space in the neck and shoulders. Again, just kind of plugged in to this balanced lunge posture. Ready to move? Let's inhale, extend the arms straight up into the air again. Exhale, bring the arms down. Bring hands to hips. Start to lean forward, but really shifting weight into front foot so you can peel that right heel off the floor, then step forward, feet together. Then an inhale to stand up tall, reaching into the air, extended mountain pose, and exhale, arms return to your side. If you'd like, you can just hold still or again shake all that out. Let's continue with our sun salutation. I'll break it down for us, and we'll be moving into that next version of Warrior One. Let's do a quick adjust of my mat, and we'll get moving. There we are. Let's inhale, extend the arms straight up into the air. Another big stretch, energy through your fingertips. Exhale, spread your wings, bend your knees, start to hinge and fold. Slowly making your way down. Now, you don't have to touch your toes. Maybe your hands land right at your shins. That's perfect. Inhale, slide your hands up the legs a bit so you can easily extend the spine. Lots of space to feel that lengthening effect. Exhale, fold, rounding the back. Let the knees bend a whole lot here too. And so you can place your hands on the floor in front of you, your mat. And then start walking, stepping, both feet back to the back end of your mat. You'll be on 4 points here, staff pose. Just a strong straight line in the body. Plank. We're going to breathe in. Exhale, bend your knees slightly and send your hips up into the air, transitioning into downward facing dog. Feel free to adjust your feet. I like to say step into place. So your feet feel like they're in a good spot. You can even adjust the hands if you need to. I like to take my hands a little wider on the mat, providing a little bit more space in my head and neck. From here, we're going to inhale to pick up the right foot and extend that right leg back behind. Reaching. Doesn't have to lift high, just reach and lift. Exhale, bend the right knee, bring the right knee in underneath you towards your chin or chest. At the same time, you're shifting your whole upper body forward and seeing that your shoulders are now aligned over the wrist. Set that right foot down. It just might be on your toes here. The heel might be lifted. And then set the left knee onto the floor. Now we're doing this variation just in case you can't get that right foot all the way up to the top of the mat next to the right hand. Do this instead. Let's go pick up the right foot and place it where you want it. And then we'll re-lift that left knee, pivot or turn left heel to the floor. This is our Warrior One setup. Just as we did before, we just have more distance between the feet. Be sure you have a good amount of weight in that back foot. Let's extend the torso long and straight out over the right thigh. You should be able to lift the hands right here. Can you see me? I'm just lifting my hands, but I'm still folded forward here. And we'll hinge from hips, rising up like you're opening the lid of a box, reaching both arms straight up into the air. And exhale, just kind of sink into the pose. Now my arms are mostly straight, but they are out at an angle, kind of like a big V, like that. Holding for a moment. Now this is actually some hip work. Actually, we're getting to the hip flexor in this back leg, the left leg, that's extending back behind us. Now the more that we can feel tall, lifted, and facing forward with this left leg kind of outwardly spiraling, let's say, it stretches open that hip flexor. Okay, breathing in, we're going to move out of this. Exhale, turn to the left side of your room. Bringing arms down to parallel, you should end up in Warrior Two right here. Making sure your right knee and your toes are still pointing directly forward. Feel tall and straight in the upper body, and your arms are just parallel to the floor. Now we're going to angle the upper body by reaching forward through the right arm, and then we'll rotate the arms while your right hand reaches down, left hand reaches up. So at first your arms were like at 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock. Now they're at 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock. Okay, let's breathe in, reaching and opening the body. We're going to exhale to turn, folding carefully so we can bring the hands back down to the floor here. Rise up onto your tiptoes behind you. Heel lifted. I call this a runner's lunge. Push hands firmly into the ground so you have strong arms. If you can you get a bit of a lift of the hips? This should kind of unlock that right hip so you can slide the right leg back to meet the other so you're in plank pose again. Take a breath in. Exhale, bend your knees slightly. Hips into the air are return to downward facing dog. Do what you need to do to help step into place and arrive in your pose. Take a breath. And then we're going to move. Inhale, extend left leg up into the air. Don't worry about the height, just the energetic reach feeling. Exhale, bend this left knee, bring it in underneath you toward your chin or chest. Shifting forward, shoulders over wrist. Maybe this foot can reach the hand, but if not, just set it down wherever. And then set the right knee down. So we can just go and pick up this left foot, literally pick it up and place it where you want it, up near the left hand. And then we'll relift that right knee. Pivot right heel to the floor, shifting the weight back so there's good connection to the ground with that back foot. And then let's ensure our torso is long and straight and it's right over the left thigh. Do a little bit check to see if you can lift the hands easily off the floor. No weight on the hands here. We're using the strength of this bent lunging leg. And then we'll hinge from hips, rising up, reaching up into the air. As you exhale, just kind of sink into the pose right there. Alrighty. Holding for a few breaths. Now there's a lot more distance between the feet. If you feel like that's too much distance, you can always shorten that stance if you want. Let's breathe in. Exhale, turn your torso towards the right side of the room now, bringing arms down to parallel. Okay, 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock. Reaching. Feel tall here. Checking in with alignment, your left knee and toes are pointing forward. And then we'll angle the upper half of the body by reaching through the left hand, and we'll rotate the arms to 6 o'clock and 12 o'clock. Holding here for a moment. Now you don't have to touch the ground with this left hand unless you want to, okay? I tend to stay up high in this pose, and you still get a very effective sensation. Nice hip opener. Let's breathe in. We'll exhale carefully, turn towards the floor, fold and bend, place the hands on the mat. Once they've landed, let's pivot so we're up onto the tiptoes back there behind us on that right foot, heel lifted, runner's lunge. Push hands firmly into the ground, strong arms, lifting hips if you can. Slide or step that left foot back. There's plank pose, hold. And then we're going to set both knees onto the ground, both knees. You're going to sit back briefly in hero. This is hero. We're just getting off the hands, but you're going to take a seat. Just sit off to the side. Swing the legs around to the front here. Make sure you're sitting in the center of the mat. Before you lie down, because we are going to lie down, grab your blocks or books, whatever you're going to use here, okay? So have those handy, right by your side, and then go ahead and roll down onto your back. When you roll down, feel free to hug the knees into chest, just briefly there, and then we'll set the feet down onto the ground. I like to call this bridge pose prep, okay? Just lying down, knees bent, feet flat on the ground. I like to hold here for several breaths, just to get reacquainted with breathing, and even relax a little bit. Let the whole back body just melt into the ground. Make sure you can still grab your blocks. we'll be moving to what I call a supported bridge pose. Usually when we lift the hips into the air, we just hold them in midair. But we're going to sit on the blocks. So let's start with the breath. You're going to inhale, fill up your lungs. Now you can exhale through your mouth, emptying the belly, engaging the belly there, and then lifting hips just high enough and long enough so you can slide those blocks or books underneath you to sit on. And literally just sit right there. And now just step into place. That might mean adjusting your feet if you need to on your mat. So you can just lie here comfortably. Now I would also consider this a hip opener. Yes, it is a back bend. It's a mild back bend since we're supported while sitting on the blocks here. But because of the opening sensation kind of in the upper thigh region, kind of right below the belt line in the hip flexor region, this is a nice gentle opening. I'm just holding here several breaths. A lot of our postures today as we focus on our hips will be in a seated position. A lot of great hip openers. Let's just go ahead and take 3 more breaths in our supported bridge pose. When you feel complete, just press feet into the ground, engaging the legs so you can lift your hips high enough so you can slide those blocks out from underneath you, set them to the side, and slowly roll your way down. Go ahead and hug knees into chest. Any intuitive movements here is welcomed. So you might rock left and right. I like to create little circles or a little figure 8 just to massage the low back and hips. And then eventually start rocking forward and back because you're going to be rocking your way up to a seated position. Okay? Now you can always just roll to your side and press yourself up to seated. This time I'm going to rock forward and right up to our seated posture here. Now we're going to do boat pose because we're going to do a hip opener a little bit later that's going to be very similar to this seated position. So we're going to do boat with heels on the ground. Go ahead and flex your feet here, knees very bent, and use your hands and just hold on to the legs, just moving my blocks out of the way there. Holding onto your knees and pull to lift yourself up until you're nice and tall like you're sitting in a high back chair or up against a wall. Making sure you're nice and tall there. That's another inhale. Exhale, pull belly in and then lean back. Imagine you're in a reclining chair. Okay, so you want to keep a straight spine, just lean back and just hold on right here. Now the farther back you go, the more core engagement, okay, will occur. So you don't have to go back too far, but holding here for several breaths. We're going to get into some more hip opening. One more breath in and out in our variation of boat. And you might rise up, just kind of pull yourself up and relax. Now I'm just going to kind of scoot back just to extend the legs. So straighten your legs. We're going to keep the feet flexed. Place your hands on the floor by your hips. This is staff pose. To energetically engage this, we're going to press hands into the floor to help extend the spine, sit up as tall as you can. Check in with shoulders. Just be sure your shoulders aren't kind of rocking in. We want to roll them back, opening up through heart space. Yes? A couple breaths here. We're moving into Janu Shirshasana. All right, just relax for a moment. I'll just explain what that is. Okay, we're going to take the left leg, we're going to bend that left knee, bring that foot to the inside of your right leg. It might be on the inner thigh. It can also be down lower, just depending on how this feels on the knee. Now my leg goes mostly down to the ground. It's mostly touching the ground. But let's say the leg doesn't open up completely there. This is where you might want to use a pillow, a small book or block right there so that the leg actually rests, just in case the leg doesn't reach the ground. And it's perfectly fine if it doesn't. And we do have this extended leg out in front of us. Okay, so what we're going to do is just going to, again, place hands on the floor, just somewhere where it's easy for you to push into the ground and get tall in the spine, just like you did in that staff pose prep. We're going to exhale and just kind of lean forward, leading with heart and chin out towards your toes here. Pause for a moment, take some breath, notice the sensations. If your leg, this right leg, is completely straight, you might feel a little stretch in the hamstrings. Perfect. If you like, you can start to hinge and fold a little bit more. Hands can stay behind you as mine are, or bring them out front. They can be on the floor, your shin or leg, and if you can reach your toes, maybe you're holding on to your toes. Here it's also okay for the back to round, kind of melt. You can almost kind of relax into this a little bit and even lower your chin. I really, really like this pose because it's basic enough, but it's like multitasking. It's yoga multitasking. Okay? So the name of the pose, Janu Shirshasana. Janu is your knee, right here. Shirsha is your head. And so basically is bringing your head and knee towards each other. Now they don't have to make contact, that's okay. But that's kind of the direction we're headed. All right, and then the multitasking is that right leg here, nicely extended, hamstring stretch. Left leg is bent, that's our hip opener. And if your back happens to be rounded, you have a nice back stretch as well. All right, 2 more breaths. If your hands are on the floor out in front of you, you can press into the ground to help you lift yourself back up until you have a re-extended spine. Even catch your hands behind you here. Just help lift and lengthen straight up and down. Looking forward. Take a breath. And then we'll relax. Okay, we're going to do the other side. So I'm just going to go ahead and extend that left leg so we can kind of rebalance the whole body, coming back to full alignment. Let's also return to staff pose. Straight legs, flex feet, hands by your hips. Sit tall right here. 2 breaths. After that second breath, you can just soften a little bit. Let's do our head to knee pose other side. So we're going to bend the right knee. Bring right foot to the inner left leg. Thigh or somewhere lower, just depending on how much the right knee can bend. Again, if the leg doesn't reach the ground, use a pillow or block so the leg can rest on it. Hands behind you here, pushing into the floor so you feel as tall as can be. Inhale as you do so. Exhale, hinge forward just a tiny bit. Lengthen spine. Check in with the body. Okay, notice. You might already feel that hamstring stretch. Maybe the hip opening and release. You can stay just like this. You can start to hinge forward a bit more. Even bring hands in front, onto the ground. Hold on to your leg. Even for your foot. Now, another prop you could potentially use, of course, is a strap. Maybe just wrapping a strap or whatever you've got that resembles a strap wrapped around the foot. The back can round here. Even soften into this a little bit to get all 3 of those effects. Lengthen hamstring, hip opener, and that back stretch. Let your head relax here too. It's one thing to be aware of it. In some poses, especially in a class like this, it's okay to relax the head. We have a lot of tension, or we tend to hold a lot of tension in our head and neck. We like to hold our heads up, okay, if that makes sense. You know, we kind of, even in a pose like this, you might hold your head up. That's engaging all those muscles in the neck. So feel free to let all that go. So another added component to our multitasking. Relax your neck. 2 more breaths. And we're ready to rise back up. Just notice if your chin is lowered, if your back is rounded. You might just tip your chin up so you're looking out at your foot, just to help re-extend the spine. Hands might be out in front of you here, and just press to help lift yourself back up until you're nice and tall. Even get hands behind you again. Press directly down to lift straight up. A breath or two right there. Good. All right, so that's another hip opener, very basic, common hip opener. And again, it's a wonderful, multitasking posture. All right, now we're going to try something a little bit different, okay? Now, we're going to put a good bend in the knees, okay? Not too bent, okay? Just a slight bend in the knees. Heels are on the floor here, and hands behind you, okay? Doesn't matter where you spin your fingers. Just lean back, something like this, okay? All right, looking out in front of you here, we're going to pick up the left foot. We're going to cross, as you're able, cross this left ankle over right thigh. Okay, just crossing your leg. We're going to do a couple things here. Now that right foot that's way out front there, we're going to see if we can bend that knee a little bit more, okay? And see what happens. When you bend that knee, it brings this cross leg closer to you. So you can kind of play with that range, okay, how close or how far you want this. Because this is another hip opener. Now with the hands, because you're leaning back, you can push into the ground, lifting chest up and bringing it forward towards this cross leg. Okay, both things, okay, are going to make this a little bit more engaging, okay, as you'd like. So find that spot where, okay, I'm feeling that stretch in the hips. You might feel this on the left leg here, the leg that's crossed. And even play with this. You don't have to stay static in this pose, deep in that stretch. Maybe just kind of soften a little bit, lean back or slide that right foot forward, let it soften, get some looseness, and then you might re-engage and go back in, getting a little bit more sensation, okay? I really don't have a name for this pose, okay? But just something that kind of resembles boat a little bit, okay? A little bit of that Janu Shavasana, getting into the hip. All right, we're going to add something else here. All righty. Now I'm going to turn, let me see, I'm going to turn away from you. Now I'm not sure if I'm facing the same direction or if I'm mirrored to you or not. Okay? But we've got the left leg crossed, okay? And so flex that left foot. Flex the left foot and then just kind of lean over to the right side. Just let that left foot drop to the right, okay? All the way to the floor so it's flat. And then just kind of lift yourself up. Now the right foot that's just kind of hanging out there, you might want to bend that knee as you're able. Just bring that heel in a little bit closer, okay? You're going to be sitting kind of odd and facing an odd angle. That's okay. But you want to sit up tall wherever you are. Take both hands, hold on to the shin in front here, and sit up nice and tall again. Hold on to the shin with this right hand. Bring your left hand behind you. Again, just a way to help prop yourself up. Okay, we've been doing this with those other poses, just making sure you have a nice spinal extension. Inhale, lift, and exhale, continue twisting a little bit to the left side. It doesn't have to be far at all. Okay, just the way the legs are crossed, and because we've added this little bit of a twist, you might have a little bit of a hip stretch. Let's check in with this right hand. The right hand that's holding on to this shin here, you can keep it just like that. Or you might extend that arm out and bend the elbow, kind of wrapping the elbow or wrap the arm around the knee. Okay, now when I do that, I get a little bit more sensation in that hip stretch on this left leg. So just kind of pay attention to the sensations that are arising for you. Okay? How about 3 more breaths? This pose is called Half Lord of the Fishes. Alrighty, now you're going to soften, unwind. So coming out of the twist, again, you're going to be facing forward, but you're kind of facing out at an angle. Get both hands behind you, leaning back a little bit, okay? And maybe get both hands, let's see, maybe on your right side. I think that works. Okay, so maybe that right foot that we brought in, just kind of kick it out. We're just going in reverse here. Just kind of kick it out a little bit because we're going to return to the seat here. Remember this? Just return to the seat where we had the leg crossed. So just returning to this original pose. And then you can slide that right leg forward, maybe all the way down if you'd like, so we can easily uncross that leg. Let's just quickly come back to staff pose. Just nice and tall, re-engaging, and we're going to do the other side. So it's basically just kind of two poses, and these are those extra poses I was mentioning at the beginning of our practice. So I'm going to lean back a little bit, bend the knees slightly, just creating enough space so I can pick up this right foot now, cross right ankle over left thigh, right there. And then this might be enough. You don't have to do anything else. Maybe this is enough of that hip stretch that you need. Or slide this left foot in a little bit. Send chest up and forward towards the shin. And maybe that's enough. Don't need to force it. Maybe just to the point where, okay, I'm feeling something. I'm going to take maybe 3 breaths here just to kind of experience that sensation, knowing that you don't have to stay there. You can soften, let that relax a little bit, find the space, take a few breaths into that space, and then maybe move back into that full engagement as you'd like. Remember, not forcing, not pushing, right? Soft flow. Remember our intention around this practice. We're working at 60%, so just check in with how deep you are in this posture. Dial it back if you want to. You want to see if you can kind of hold this as we are for a significant amount of time. We're going to do that same thing. I'm just going to keep my sitting position this way, okay? But that same action of flexing the right foot, okay, and then just letting that foot drop to the left side, right there. Okay? Now that foot, you can see my left foot just kind of hanging out there. We're just going to bend that knee and just kind of bring it in towards the hip. And then we want to sit up nice and tall. I'm just using my hands, just kind of lifting myself so I can be able to sit. And then bring both hands to the shin. This is the first attempt to extend spine. Left hand will stay holding onto this shin. Right hand comes behind you so you can press into the floor to help extend spine. Again, this might be enough. You may not need to twist at all, okay? But if you are, remember to breathe in first, get very tall. Exhale, rotate a bit towards your right side. Now today, I know I'm experiencing some fair amount of tightness in my right hip today. Okay, so I think this is about enough, but I think I am going to take my left arm and see if I can wrap it around. I don't want to go too far past my 60%. I think, ooh, that should be just right. I'm probably around 65% because I do feel this. So I'm going to add maybe just some deeper breaths. This is what you can really do when you practice yoga. It can be a continuous kind of mental dialogue. And that dialogue is around, how do you feel? What's going on? How does this feel in my hips? What's going on in my legs? Is my breath deep and clear? It's just that constant checking in with self. Two more breaths here. Well done. Okay. After the second breath, if you're on that twist, we're unwinding to face forward, but you're probably facing an angle here. Maybe hands over to the left side. So we can kind of kick that left foot back out and kind of swing myself back up to the original seat, cross-legged position. Slide that left foot forward to extend the leg so I can uncross, straight legs here, staff pose. Very well done. Okay. All right. While seated, grab your blocks, okay, and place one on either side of you for the moment. Okay, we're gonna lie down again. So carefully, just lie back down. Perhaps just sit in the center of your mat. Roll back down to the ground. Hug both knees into chest. Any intuitive movements here that feel fine. You might even add a circling of the ankles and feet. Wiggle your toes. A little massage for the low back and hips. And then set the feet down onto the floor, but this time with the legs as close together as you can get them. Can you still grab your blocks? Are they still reachable? Okay, so the legs are together. We're going to take reclining cobbler's pose, reclining bound angle. So you're just going to let the knees open outward to either side of the room. The soles of the feet are touching. And of course the legs don't have to touch the ground. That's why you've got your blocks. And maybe just tuck them underneath the legs. We're just going to hold here for a moment. This is a wonderful relaxing pose. Nothing too engaging besides the stretch that's happening along the inside of the legs here. And arms just down by your side. Find the adjustments to help you settle in and relax. Deep breaths. This could even take the place of Shavasana. Once we get to Shavasana, we're not quite there yet, but once we get to that place, you know, of course, you can have the legs extended out in front of you. You might even elevate the legs, or maybe you want to do a little hip opener like this. So again, another popular, and I would consider maybe a basic hip opener. We're going to do one more in a moment. A very common one. Our next pose is Happy Baby Pose. I'm going to give you several variations of the posture. Okay, maybe 2 more breaths in your reclining Cobbler's pose, or reclining bound angle. And when you're complete, you can lift the knees, bring the legs together, hug the knees into chest. Catch your shins with your hands here. Maybe a little circle of the feet. Wiggle your toes. Okay, now just separate the legs. All right, now this could be your Happy Baby Pose, just like this, just holding onto the shins, opening the legs here, just like this. That's plenty for this hip release and stretch. Or more classically, feet go up towards the ceiling with bent knees, and if you can, reach up to grab hold of the bottoms of the feet with the hands, pressing gently downward so the knees feel like they're moving down towards the ground on either side of you. So this is more of that classic Happy Baby Pose. Okay, so we have several versions. You can just hold on to the shins to get that stretch in the inner thighs, or feet towards ceiling, holding onto the soles of the feet. I'm going to give you one more variation. Okay, let's say you want to do this one leg at a time, which I often do. I'm just going to release my left leg to demonstrate. So my left leg is on the floor. I'm still holding on to the right foot. And I find, you may find, that you can go actually a little bit deeper. Without forcing it, you can go a little bit deeper into the hip stretch when you're working only one leg at a time. So you can even try that if you'd like. So maybe one leg, 3 to 5 breaths or more if you want. Release, and then do the other side. Okay? So it's just some variations. Let's finish up 3 more breaths. After that 3rd breath, releasing the legs down to the floor. You might even come to Shavasana just for a moment, okay? Maybe a couple breaths to let the body relax and also realign. Now, you're welcome to stay here. If you feel comfortable here, go ahead and stay here for the remainder of the practice. You can even add on some other poses, which I'm going to do, okay? You can stay right here. I'm going to hug knees into chest. Now you can do a leg extension up towards the ceiling if you like, but I'm just going to add a twist. I'm going to take my knees over to the left side. They might even land on that block over there, which is nice. Extend the right arm off to the right side. Just a few breaths, just to get into the low back, in hips again, actually. So this could be another hip opener in some respect. So I like to think of this portion as the part of class where you can just kind of do whatever you want to do. You don't necessarily have to follow the instructor. Really now just listen to your own body and what it needs at this moment. Maybe it's ready for rest, so go ahead and rest. Come to Shavasana or any other restorative position. If you want to add a few more movements and stretches, please feel free. Now I think when I come to my Shavasana, I'm going to use that bolster I have to help elevate my legs. So I'm just going to roll onto my side, press myself up just momentarily here so I can go get my bolster and just kind of set this up. This is very common in some restore yoga classes. I've got my blocks here, kind of making a little tower so I can actually have my cushion a little bit higher off the ground. And I'm going to rest my calves here. I'm going to use my blanket just for added cushioning for my back body. Okay, so just kind of set yourself up. Okay, especially if you find that you want to hold your position for a good period of time. You want to be as comfortable as possible. This should do it right here. Oh, this is nice. So once you've found your comfortable spot, feel free to keep eyes opened, gazing upward, or closing your eyes, gazing inward. Even in stillness, continue to be aware of your breathing. That also just keeps you in the moment. Keeping you fully aware and present rather than drifting off into the future or thinking about the past. As we near the end of our practice together, relaxing here in Shavasana, feel free to stay here as long as you need to. Even as I end the class, you can stay just like this. When it is time to move, maybe just starting with 5 slow, deep cleansing breaths. Feeling movement return to your body. And after your 5th breath, moving as slowly as you can, start to roll onto either side of your body, certainly aware of the props that you're using. Continue to move in slow motion as you guide your way up to seated. Finding a comfortable seat, you might be sitting on your pillow or blanket. A nice extension of the spine as you're sitting up nice and tall. And perhaps your arms are just relaxed down by your side, hands in your lap. Finding stillness for a moment. And then one more movement together. We'll inhale, extend arms out and up, reaching into the air. Good. And as you exhale, bring your palms together and down to your heart. Hold here in stillness, perhaps taking one more breath in and out. And as we come to the close of our practice together, we bow, saying, Namaste.